Diciamo per chi o così vuole. Take a seat. Okay, perfect. So the first question, um, it's you said at the introduction that it was a very personal story. So could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's how it started. The beginning of the story, and the idea was actually for me, not to make a really long story about that, but for me it was just finding a story that was more close and personal in general, because I've been working on really big stories, and I thought the whole streaming landscape was so much, science fiction and thrillers and all that. So I wanted to go back to more traditional drama. So we looked for stories in our own life in a way, and got the idea from that. And then of course, then it grew and became a fictional story in that way. But and I think an universal story.
We are not used to watch the relationship that the siblings had in fiction. Here in Spain, it's not usual to see. Could you please describe how was what was the motivation behind that kind of relationship?
Well, it's yeah. First of all, we were interested in making a story about addiction, and also in a more you can say mature group of people. Also, something that was more underlining the welfare system and all the wealthness in Scandinavia. So we thought there are so many problems behind the skeletons there. We wanted to describe and. Yeah, so the idea, of course, is I think all of us actually, Pilou was also very much in part of the whole development of the story, and Lone and I, when we started writing, it was very clear that a lot of people involved were connected a lot with the material, actually, about siblings, but also just in general having addiction very close to themselves.
Because for us, it's very the addiction that his character has. It's very, you can see it clearly, but how you describe the addiction of the sister, which is more it's kind of different.
Do you want to say something about that?
Well, oh, sorry. She's kind of codependent. She has this role. She's holding the whole family together. That's her part. That's her role in this family. It's a role she's playing since she was a child, and you can see that we don't see it so much in the first 3 episodes. But the father was, of course, he's like this big ghost in the story. But we try to tell a story that addiction has been running in the family. So the father is also like a kind of person who's drinking too much, and she, as a child, has this role that she's holding the family together. It's very classical in a way. She's protecting the little brother from the father's anger and his drinking. So that's in a way in the family when they are growing up also. So
yeah, and very early it was clear for us that we wanted to have a strong angle on the codependency instead of the traditional story about mainly on the abuser or the addictive person. So that was kind of the main story from the beginning, was to follow her and her kind of addiction.
Pilou, what was your approach to the character? What did you like of the character?
Taking a lot of drugs. I'm kidding. That was a bad joke. I think for me the approach is the character identifiable. Can you identify with the character? Is it a flawed character? Is it an interesting character? Is it a character who has been recognized within each family in Europe-ish? I think if we go through every single family member here tonight, we will find some kind of addiction. It can be cigarettes, it can be sex, it can be alcohol, it can be drugs, it can be whatever we want it to be. So for me, it was just It was super nice coming home and doing a series with two people who I love a lot and who I've known for many years, that they wanted to do something that was very personal and very relatable for me. And even though you might consider Mads as a villain in the story, and I've done a lot of villains in America,
Yeah.
he's not a villain. He's just a poor soul. And he's a misunderstood character, and he's just trying to survive. And yeah,
I think both characters are very balanced, because I mean Mats it's a drug addict, but he's also a kind person. He tries that everybody feels nice when he's around.
I also
But-
think. Sorry, can I interrupt?
Yeah,
I
yeah, for
also
sure.
think, because no one starts out as a drug addict. No one starts out by waking up in the morning and say, "I want to do some crack cocaine. I want to smoke some weed. I want to drink alcohol." It always springs out of something else. It's always
Yeah.
another diagnosis. It always is. I got HD. Hvad hedder det? ADHD. HD, whatever it's called. I got another diagnosis, and I think with Mads is just he's a great teacher. He's just very bad at being a human being. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the drug addicts that I know, they're lovable people, they're nice people, they're just very bad at being human beings. And I think with Mads, I wanted to portray, with along with these incredible people, I wanted to portray a character who was understandable, flawed, but still one person you could see his journey and you wouldn't judge him, because we all have a relative who's like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I know.
And I don't know if you know, but some people
I think
know.
all families have it close somehow.
Yeah.
At least in Denmark.
Yeah.
We know that. We know that from statistics. But yeah, it was also very important with the whole school teacher plot, but because some of my favorite scenes is when he's with the children. He's such a pure soul there. He's such much home in that environment, and I really, for myself, I would really enjoy that. For me, it's very moving that he has this place where he can actually be pure, and he's trapped in life, like Pilou was saying.
For me, there is something important in the plot of the series. It's how you plot the information, because, for example, the character of Eva thinks that his brother didn't see her with her lover. So that kind of gaps of information, when they are revealed, they appear like a bomb in the show. How did you plot that? How did you write this kind of?
I remember this because we call it, when you have a drug addict in your family, or let's just say if you have a person who's addicted to something, it can be whatever, you have something called social capital. And Lone and Kaspar kept saying to me that he's not a bad person, he just has social capital. And with social capital, it means that he has seen something that he might cash in later, you know? So I have something on you which I can use for my beneficial. So when I need it, if I need money, I need an excuse, I need support, I can tap into the old excuse saying, oh, I remember when I came and I was so drunk and I was so out of it. I still remember there was a car. Who car? Whoa, what kind of car was that?
It's also something about him as a character, treating him still as a clever person, an intelligent person, of course. For me, that was very important. So, but also, of course, the way you roll out the plot, it's just holding back things. It's also the format helps that a lot when we have like the what we call it more like chapters in a book, like half-hour format. So you can actually you can keep some of the plot points for later episodes and all that, because it's not like drawn out in really long episodes. So yeah, I just like that way of storytelling.
And also when we did the scene, because it's the scene when he comes with the taxi and he goes to the house.
Yeah.
And we were discussing it. So when we did the scenes, I wanted to go like, oh, he's completely gone. He doesn't register anything. He's on his own trip. He just wants to get what he wants. And Kaspar was like, no, I think when you turn back to the cab and you go like, bye-bye. And then he goes like this. And if you see it again, you can see I go like, bye-bye. and then I like, oh, that's something, and then I walk off. Just to be specific, that we have the situation where he would be aware of it, but it's so subtle, but it's still enough to be aware, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and also they know each other, so maybe he even knew about this relationship between them before that, because he knows her so well. So it's it's just keep it exciting, I would say, when you tell it.
I think it's also very interesting, the relationship between Mats and his wife. That moment with violence, or you could say violence. I mean, it's how you describe that relationship. I mean, it's very interesting.
Scandinavian.
Scandinavian, but we're Mediterranean.
I think it's here also.
It's much more violent here. That's what we've been told in the north. No, it's you know, she is from Mediterranean, the actress originally, and she's born and raised in Sweden. But that's a very Scandinavian relationship based on respect and a lot of lies.
Yeah. Would you say something about it?
Well, it was important for us that you have to understand why she wants to be with him, because he's always betraying her and he's lying to her and he's doing all these things. So why does she want to be with him? So there's something in their relationship that also gives something to her. There's something for her in this relationship. So he's giving something to her. So what is that? And we were discussing that a lot. What is in this relationship for her? Maybe there's something in this relationship, then she can be the upper hand sometimes. When he has again done something he shouldn't do, she can be
in control. She can be in charge of the relationship.
Yeah.
And that's. I think that's.
It's a part of their dynamic, and maybe a lot of other things. And obviously they're very attracted to each other. They also have a great sexual relationship. So I think that's also part of it.
Yeah, it was important. It was important for us that she really loves him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and she loves the family they have. So we needed to have this kind of dynamic. Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of people here. I'm sure they want to ask you something. Si no aquí obri el torn de preguntes, si teniu preguntes, llanceu-vos.
You don't have to.
Si puc, la faig en català i me haces traducció. Que m'ha sorprès que hi ha l'escena del concert, que no jo pensava que ensenyaríem més la part aquesta de la seva part de músic, no? Del concert i tal, però al final no es veu massa, estan més centrats en la relació, i que per què ho havien escollit així. Quina va ser l'elecció de fer-ho així?
She's surprised about the concert scene. Why you didn't show more of his life as a musician and you skip that?
That was also something we discussed a lot, but at the end it was not important enough, because it's not what it's about. So if we had like a long concert, which is also heavy to produce, it was not like we didn't feel that it was the right thing to have focus on. It was more his inner journey in the whole thing, his insecurity about performance, and his of course, if he could keep what do you call it, clean that day, and with the biggest challenges ever. So it was just not. We talked so much about it actually, but we shot the concert. We shot it. Yeah. But it was yeah.
He did a lot of singing that day.
He did a lot of singing. And it was really beautiful.
Why we got cut it out, because my singing is not that good.
But yeah, we had the song made and everything, and it was written and it was scored and everything was done with the track, with the song, and it was really beautiful scene. But when it came to the editing, it was just not really strong enough. It's like going in a concert film and stuff.
You can put that on the special edition.
Yeah, we do that
Extended
on the DVD. Yeah.
¿Les preguntes? Aunque creo que no tengo más preguntas.
But that's the thing with addiction, that you can have a success but still feel like a failure. You know, that's how it feels. So even though it was a massive success that night, and the thing is, if we do not portray that evening, what I mean is, if we do not show it on screen, but we say after that scene, wow, that was amazing, you're back, that's what we wanted, this is the mess we know, you will think that he was back, but still it wouldn't be enough for his character journey, because he feels like a failure. You know what I mean? So instead of letting you be the judge of his talent, we tell you that it was perfect, only so we can take another turn and say, but his struggle is within. So no matter how much you praise or how much you say, he will still be or feel like a failure.
¿No tenéis más preguntas? Pregunté yo. ¿Allá? Ah.
I like your shoes.
Congratulations. That was really great. I have lots and lots of questions.
Just take one.
How does it end? No.
I
Is there a
die.
happy ending? Oh, don't say that.
No, I
please
don't.
spoil it. Was it a deliberate, from the very beginning, to make all of the women have this secret power that Lonnie was talking about, that Evan's character has, or did that kind of come out of stronger development? That the women are holding the power in the relationships, financially, and the men are not, and there's a sort of element of emasculation within these relationships that isn't helping them to develop. So it creates this kind of like running theme throughout the episodes that I've seen so far.
Oh, that's a difficult question. Well, it was important for us that Christina, the character of Mads's girlfriend, and Eva should be very different. And they are very different characters, and they have a very different journey they go through in this show. Of course, because Eva is our main character, she has a very strong development through the show. So she has to be herself. She has to find herself through these eight episodes, and she has to let her brother go in some way. That's the biggest thing that happens in her life here. But she also has to let her father go and her husband go. And that's three very strong relationships she has in her life. And it's three very different
Males.
three very, very different male characters also, yes. So it was very exciting to work with that, to see this woman be herself, to see her develop like that, and be herself through these challenges. And it's another journey that Christina is going through with Mads, and they have, both of them, they are codependent, but in very different ways also. And that was also very exciting to work with, actually.
Very, very difficult in the beginning to separate them as characters because they're both so close to him, but also, as you say, make them strong. So they weren't like, what do you call it, sacrifices or offer?
Victims.
Victims, yeah. So they weren't victims in the story. So they were also drawn by their own motives and character and inner strength. That was very important from the beginning.
Also, I want to add something that in the Nordic countries, I think 95% of all the marriages, both partners are working. So if a male and a female have a collaboration, or let's call it a marriage, both of them are working. So the woman she is independent of the male income, and vice versa, which is apparently very radically different from the rest of Europe. But so she doesn't need him. It's out of love that she wants to stay, and not out of reason or financial reasons, if that makes any sense. I think that was kind of the question you had? That why would she stay?
No, not at all. It was just whether, because all of the women have more power and more earning capacity than the men, and control in the
agree.
company. Yeah, in the, you know, her relationship with her business partner as well. She's clearly more important in the company, and that creates tension. It's just interesting to see all the different forms
Yeah.
that element of tension took.
Yeah. But that's the thing, you know, when you have siblings and one inherits the company and the other one gets a buyout, you can always have that thing where you went like, oh, I sold you the summer house out of 1.7 million, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, who would know that that summer house would become 5 million?
Oh no, it was perfect. It was so real. You know,
We've all tried that,
Congratulations.
where you go like, I need some more money from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The summer house works as a metaphor. Yeah. It's okay. The summer house works as a metaphor for you. How did you use it? What is for you that summer house?
Yeah, of course, it's like a backstory about the father, where it was very important. There's many things in it, but it's connected with the whole story was very important to have it in the city, and the almost claustrophobic environment with the apartments very close to each other, and then to have something completely different. So they also had like this more symbolic layer, and then of course it's a very important location for Eva in her journey of the story. When you see the rest of the episodes, the summer house is like something she needs to let go of in a way. It is so much connected with the father, of course, because he built it, and everything in he's kind of a ghost, both in the story but also in all of them. I mean, in episode 2, Mads talks about him a lot at the end, and so he's kind of there triggering all of them in the family, and of course the house is a symbol of him mainly. Yeah.
We have a sponsor here at the festival called Popitas, which is a popcorn sponsor, and we have asked our audience or our fans in social media to make a question for Pilou, and we have here the questions, so I'm gonna pick one.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask you the question of our fans.
That's in a Kinder egg.
Yeah, in a Kinder egg.
Oh. So it's 3 things. It's chocolate, something you can play with, and a surprise. You remember the commercial?
Yeah, you only
Yeah.
have the surprise here.
I only got the surprise.
So let's go. You play both heroes and villains. What are you looking for when you choose a role?
I don't know. Happiness. That's a very good question, because the thing is this. I wish I could have said something very smart and intellectual. But the case is this. I've done so many films in Denmark and in Europe. I've been working with so many incredible people where I feel like my talent has been appreciated. And then one day I got married and I got a kid and I felt like I needed some money. So I went to America and I started making a lot of money in America, and I did a lot of villains, and they pay well. Even though they're bad, they're good at paying. So I did a lot of villains in America, and I felt like I had to do a lot of villains, and now I got my first house last week. And now I've done it. I got my first house. I've had success. Thank you. Yeah, that's in Spain. That gets you an applause. That's like your first house. Buen días.
Now you need the summer house.
Now I need a summer house. Yeah. So I'll do more. No. So the thing is this: I love my villains because they paid my lifestyle, but I love doing work where you can actually develop as a human being. Because at the end of the day, you're only here for a short moment of time. In a short, in life. So this is what I love, and the villains pay the bills, to be honest. So that's the difference. But I'm very thankful for Game of Thrones and stuff like that, because they created an international career.
Yeah, for sure. Més qüestions del públic?
Well, congratulations for what you did. I was quite surprised that these people go from one house to the other, opening the doors. I think it works very well for the story, but I would like you to say something about that. It's quite strange. Even if they are siblings, I mean, there are other people, and they don't even see that they open the door. I don't know if we have a key, if the door is always open. So I find that very
always
interesting.
Open. That's the Scandinavian family. Yeah.
It's so strange.
We do that.
Yeah, that's just taken from real life. So they talk about in the first scene that he has a key, that maybe he should give back the key so he doesn't lock himself in. And sometimes in the daytime the doors are open, but in the nighttime they put on the lock. And then, but if you have a key, then you can go in to borrow stuff, and that's what he's doing all the time. So I think it's quite common in some neighborhoods that you can have like an open door and people walk in, knock on the door and walk in. Even with when it's just friends in some neighborhoods, yeah, that's quite normal.
I'll give you an example. Can I give you an example? A very personal, private example. When I met my wife 17 years ago, I invited her on a date that lasted 24 hours. When I brought her home, I wanted to show her something called iTunes. We're that old. For the young people, iTunes is like Spotify. You know? But you have to pay for it. Like real pay. So I showed Anna iTunes. But my underwear, when we were going to bed, and we didn't do anything, but I invited her to sleep in my house because it was our first date and I didn't want to do anything. My underwear was full of holes. And I didn't want to show anything on our first date. So we went to bed and I kind of just sneaked under the linen. And then, because if something would happen and she felt like my underwear was like full of holes, it would be inappropriate. I got out of bed while she was sleeping and I went through the hallway, out the kitchen, up the stairs, and my brother, who's sitting right over there, and he's going to be super embarrassed. I went into his flat. I went into his bedroom while him and his wife were sleeping, and I took some underwear from his drawer, and I put them on, just in case Anna didn't feel like I was being inappropriate. So that's how close we are in Denmark. And sorry, Martin, I didn't tell you, but I got your underwear.
So you have to give it back.
Yeah. No.
17 years later.
So the 17 years later. So we live in the same community. We're very open. We're very, very, very. Yeah. This is not fictional. Sadly enough.
Thank you.
That specific
sorry
moment.
For
yeah, it's
the
okay.
question.
Yeah. He's like, oh my God, I hate him.
Tenim temps per a una última pregunta.
I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if it's possible to tell us, or is a secret too, about about
That was
Eva,
a good.
the feelings she has, no, for Mark, Mark, no, the lover.
Yeah.
What happened with this? Because I think when he died, she was not very affected, no? Affected?
Do you wanna?
What, is a secret or?
If it's not a secret how she's affected. That's all. That's what we can see. But it comes back in the story. She got
later.
She got hit back much worse by it later on. But she's trying to cope with it now because there's more professional problem here. So she's trying. But of course that's also something in her. What was that relationship? Was it a relationship at all, or was it just like an escape?
Exactly.
So and we come back to that plot, of course, later on in the story. So it's not like out of it here.
Okay. Because she's like nice, or what happens?
Yeah,
is
but
what I ask myself. No.
Yeah, but actually she's a mess emotionally. she doesn't know how to feel about it. Everything is a mess inside, and while everything is a mess inside, she's trying to make everything look good. So this is all. A lot of things in her life is about making things look good on the outside, while inside she's a mess, and that's what she's coping with doing this show. Trying to understand her own feelings and give her feelings the place they. Yeah. So yeah, we see more about that later on.
24 hours before fucking on the table. She goes to work.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point, actually.
But that's
she doesn't feel
Eva.
it.
That's not you.
No.
You would be devastated.
Yeah. And that's actually the whole point
And I'm
about
going to
her.
call your husband and say the reason why your wife is so sad is because her lover just died.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that is kind of the point with her, that she's not breathing deeply enough in the beginning and she's not feeling anything. And that's her whole journey, is to try to get close to herself, actually.
I think it's very human, you know, when the shit hits the fan, man. When everything is going downhill, you try to keep control. And of course, we're not idiots. So when we create a story like this, the more she's in control in these episodes, the more it will burn. The more she will go to hell in episode 5, 6, and 7, and 8. And that's a cliffhanger for you guys. You know?
So it's perfect to finish with a cliffhanger. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
A big applause for these people.
Thank you.
Moltes gràcies. Ja sabeu que els serielizados segueix demà, Encara no s'ha acabat.